Welcome to the Smart Weight Loss Coaching Podcast. I'm Dr. Lisa Oldson, a board-certified weight loss medicine specialist and certified life coach. In this podcast, I'll share fresh insights and effective techniques for incorporating mindset, habit change, and proven science into your life. Are you ready to achieve sustainable weight loss, wellness, and longevity? Then let's jump in and lose weight the smart way. Welcome back. A few days ago, an 80-year-old woman, let's call her Margaret, reached out to me to ask for some help with weight loss. She was sharp as a tack and very active, still working, in fact. I really enjoyed my brief conversation with her, even though it was cut short by a project she was doing at her volunteer job. Margaret shared that she had been dieting for decades and definitely knew what to do, but that at 80 years old, she just didn't feel like doing it anymore. The tasks that she knew would lead to weight loss because they had worked on and off before just didn't sound appealing, which was completely relatable. It's not just Margaret. Most of the women I work with have been dieting their entire lives, at least since puberty, their teen years, or young adulthood. Being on that hamster wheel of futility is so disheartening. It works for a while until it doesn't, and then the weight comes back, often with a vengeance. What Margaret was describing to me was a combination of toxic diet culture burnout, but also maybe a lack of information about how to make changes for weight loss and better health, even if you don't feel particularly inspired or motivated. Because it definitely is possible to lose weight and improve your health, even if your motivation feels paltry. When I was younger, I personally spent way too much time waiting for motivation to magically appear. And maybe you have too. You wait for that perfect moment when you'll feel inspired to cook a healthy meal, an afternoon when you'll skip the sugary treat, or an evening when you're inspired to choose the vegetable-forward option at a restaurant. Spoiler alert, that perfect moment may never come, and there's no motivation fairy. Or maybe I should say, you are the motivation fairy, and I am too. Today we're going to flip the script. Instead of waiting for motivation, we'll see how action itself often sparks motivation. Tiny practical steps you take, even when you don't feel like it, can create momentum that makes the next action easier. We'll draw on both behavior science research and sports psychology so you can see why this works and how to do it yourself for your nutrition, exercise, and other healthy habits. Most people think motivation comes first. I need to feel motivated to cook a healthy meal, so I'll wait until I feel like it. But decades of research tell us that behavior or action is often what changes feelings and attitudes. In other words, we create motivation by taking certain actions. Self-determination theory, which was developed by Deci and Ryan, explains that internal motivation grows when we feel autonomy or choice, competence or capability, and relatedness or connection. Let me explain those a bit. Autonomy means we have choices. We're in charge of what we do. For example, my kids have to do certain things in their gym class at school, and they have little autonomy over which activities they do. My oldest wanted to take yoga this year, but didn't get his first choice. Understandably, he might not feel super motivated in PE class. I, on the other hand, do whatever kind of exercise I like. I used to jog because I felt like it was efficient, but I never really enjoyed it. So instead, now I do brisk walking, yoga, dance, weight training, and other things that I choose to do. And that autonomy increases my motivation to exercise. Competence in the self-determination theory refers to how capable we are. So to use my jogging example again, one reason I didn't enjoy it was because I was never very good at it. But I am decent at dancing. So according to the self-determination theory, I'll be more internally motivated to dance as a form of exercise because I'm choosing it and I'm competent. An interesting angle to consider is that competence often comes from doing, not waiting. You feel capable by taking action and practicing something. I feel competent when I take a dance class because I show up. I don't wait to feel inspired. I just go. I do it. I show up to dance, which increases my confidence as well as my competence. And when we're pretty good at something, we're more motivated to do it. We have to trust our experience when it tells us that if we keep showing up and practicing, we're going to get good at whatever the task is, whether it's dancing, jogging, cooking, or meditating. The last part of the self-determination theory is relatedness. You can think of relatedness as connection. We all have a psychological need to connect with others, to have a sense of belonging, and to create relationships. I'm more internally motivated to do resistance training over the weekend than I am during the week because I do that with my husband. Similarly, I'm much more committed to showing up at yoga class if my good friend is going too. The self-determination theory is just one way to approach increasing our internal motivation. Remember that our motivation increases when we have autonomy, when we feel competent, and when we connect with others. B.J. Fogg, the behavioral scientist behind the book Tiny Habits, reminds us that behavior happens when motivation, an ability, and a prompt all align. If motivation is low, we can make the behavior easier, which is where tiny habits shine. I'll give you an example of that came up for me about an hour ago. One of my friends texted me that she's trying to get back into resistance training after not doing weights for a few weeks. She's never been consistent with weight training and has been trying really hard to create that habit this year. I texted back, "Awesome, good for you. Remember, make it easy. 5 minutes is a win." To which she answered, "I don't think I'll build muscle in 5 minutes." She's missing the point, which probably means I didn't explain myself well enough. I'm not suggesting that she'll build muscle in 5 minutes. I'm suggesting that she'll build motivation with 5 minutes of action. If she aims to do 5 minutes of resistance training today, she's more likely to do it again tomorrow. With repetition of the tiny habit of 5 minutes of exercise, she'll gain confidence and start to create a routine. She can make her workouts harder eventually, but for now, this is how motivation can be created. Here's another way to improve your habits when you're not feeling motivated. You can create implementation intentions. That's a mouthful, but it's actually a very simple concept. I usually just think of it as if-then plans. If-then plans link a specific situation to a simple action. For example, if I'm asked if I want to order a drink at a restaurant on a weeknight, then I'll take a pass and order water instead. Or if I eat dinner at home, then I'll fill half my plate with vegetables. Another if-then plan I like to use is if I'm invited to do something active, like take a walk or a yoga class, then I'll say yes if at all possible. These little if-then scripts can dramatically increase follow-through even when motivation is low. And here's one last cool psychological hack, self-perception theory, which says that we infer our attitudes from our behavior. You can act like the kind of person who chooses to eat lots of vegetables, and over time, your brain updates your self-image. Seriously, this really works. You act like a vegetable lover, and eventually, your brain thinks you're a healthy plant-forward eater, which makes future choices much easier. You no longer need to work at it. Your brain just identifies as someone who automatically loads up her plate with veggies. Before we talk about practical ways to use these different theories to drive healthy actions, and also ways to borrow from the world of sports psychology when you're feeling low in motivation, let's break for a quick word from our sponsor. Just kidding. It's still me, Dr. Lisa Oldson, physician and founder of Smart Weight Loss Coaching. Someone recently asked me why she should join the Smart Weight Loss Coaching program since she's already listening to the podcast. Here are 3 strong reasons. Number 1, we make hard work fun. Who says weight loss and maintenance of weight loss has to be tedious? I think getting healthy should be a blast, or at least interesting. Number 2, you'll actually learn way more about weight loss, longevity, and health because we dive deep inside the membership in a way we can't do in these short podcast episodes. And number 3 is that while passive listening is awesome, and I'm glad you're here doing it, nothing compares to engaging. In the Smart Weight Loss Coaching membership, you're no longer passively listening. You're actively taking on challenges to transform your weight with the support of an entire community of like-minded women. So please head over to smartweightlosscoaching.com and register today. And we're back. Let's take a moment to translate the different theories we just talked about into practical actions you can use in your own life. Number 1, shrink the behavior until it's trivial. Instead of asking yourself to cook a healthy dinner, instead start with a tiny plan to cut 1 carrot or rinse 1 cup of spinach. BJ Fogg calls this making the behavior match low motivation. Often once you start, momentum will carry you further, but for now, start tiny, 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 tiny. Number 2, pre-decide your actions, which you'll recall has the catchy title of implementation intentions. Start by writing out simple if-then plans. If I'm at a restaurant, then I'll order a vegetable side dish as my appetizer. Social science research shows us that pre-deciding your actions with if-then plans increases the likelihood you'll follow through, even when your motivation is low. You've already made a decision, and that momentum will carry you forward. Number 3, I didn't really touch on the next 2 approaches earlier, but they're so straightforward. I'll just list them here anyway. Number 3 is to use prompts and cues. For example, place fruit at eye level if you want to eat more fruit, or set a sticky note on the fridge to remind you to drink a glass of water rather than snacking between meals. These visual triggers act as prompts, reminding you to take action without relying on motivation, which we all know can be fleeting. And number 4, lastly, design your environment to support your goals. Make healthy choices easier and less healthy options slightly harder to reach. That's why I always put ice cream and sweetened yogurts in the basement fridge and keep the healthier foods in the kitchen. Habit research shows context drives behavior, meaning your brain takes cues from what's right in front of you. Okay, now let's bring in some sports psychology. There's a study I love, the relationship between motivation and burnout in athletes, that looked at what happens when motivation dips. They found something fascinating. When athletes' motivation drops, their engagement, meaning their effort, vigor, and dedication also drops, and that increases the risk of burnout. Here's how this relates to us. In healthy eating, motivation slumps are often a signal that your engagement is low. It's not that you're lazy or weak-willed. You can counteract this by making your actions tiny, as we talked about before. You also want to make your actions meaningful and manageable. This boosts engagement even when motivation feels absent. Here's a little more research from the world of sports psychology. Weightlifters who visualized their performance before they even started lifted more and felt more motivated. That shows us the often missing link. You don't wait for motivation, you prime it with small mental and physical actions. Other sports psychology research gives us a few practical tools for low motivation days. Number 1, positive self-talk. Athletes often remind themselves, I've trained well, I can handle this. You can say, I know how to stay on track, even when I'm eating at a restaurant on vacation. Number 2, mental imagery. As we talked about a moment ago, athletes visualize success before even starting an action. You can imagine how good you'll feel after a healthy meal or after a challenging workout. And number 3, environmental cues. Just like music can energize athletes, having a short playlist that you use while cooking or meal prepping can make the process more enjoyable and motivating. The common thread across all this research, from BJ Fogg to sports psychology, is that small wins build competence, engagement, and motivation. Even one tiny step today sets up the next one tomorrow, and that's how real motivation is built over time. The main takeaway from today is simply action leads to motivation. When motivation is low, don't wait for the spark. Use a cue, pick a tiny action, engage your positive self-talk, and monitor how you feel afterward to convince yourself that there was a benefit to your action. That sequence, repeated often, will build your motivation. Now that you know you don't need to be inspired to eat well, exercise, or prep healthy meals, it's time to think about your NBA for today, your next best action. Actually, now you know why I always invite you to create an NBA. Never have you heard me wrap up the episode by inviting you to create your next best motivation. See, you've been doing this for 131 episodes and you didn't even realize it. So what's it going to be today? What's your NBA? Here are a few ideas you can borrow or come up with your own. You can pick a 2-minute food prep task, like rinsing spinach or chopping a carrot. Or before going to a restaurant, you can write down one implementation intention. If dessert is offered, then I'll wait 5 minutes and have water first before deciding if I'm going to order something. Another one. Maybe you'll move your fruit to the counter where the easy choice is the healthy choice. Or maybe you'll pick one song to play before you prep a healthy snack. Hey, remember Margaret? She got motivated by taking action, meaning she reached out to my team and made a connection. How about you? Are you ready to take some action? Go do it. I believe in you. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like more support during your smart weight loss journey, check out our group coaching program at smartweightlosscoaching.com. Until next time, stay well and stay smart.